Hey guys, welcome to Pickle Sickles. Today's a very special Pickle Sickles. I'm alone. It's Mother's Day, and my husband and my daughter are gone. Gone. They left me unsupervised. No, that's not why it's special. Maybe that's why it's special. So they left. They went shopping. So today, I thought I would make a special video for my daughter. She doesn't know. Since it's Mother's Day, I thought I would do something special for my daughter. She is my little miracle baby. About 2 years before we had her, I lost a baby. We lost a baby. But I'm not making the video because of that. What did I do? Okay. So I'm not making it because of that. I worried the whole time that I was pregnant. We tried, so they said because of the way that we did it, that we would be able to try for a kid, right away. We should be able to get pregnant again in 6 months, but that wasn't the case. It took 2 years. 2 years. And I worried my whole pregnancy. I jumped through every hoop. I tried everything. There was no coffee and every vitamin, and I tried multiple prenatal vitamins, but I'm allergic to grass and that sort of thing, and you would not believe the amount of prenatal vitamins, if you read them, that have alfalfa and grass products in them. Why, people? Why? Why do humans need to eat alfalfa? Can someone please explain that to me? Because my doctor couldn't. Not one doctor, not one midwife could explain to me why our prenatals have to have vitamins. We're humans. We're not cows. And I tried to tolerate those things. They were horrible. They were horrendous. They made me sick. There's a restaurant in Seattle. It was one of our favorites. And it's been on lots of where to eat, go here, yeah, you'll wait 30 hours, and the line is huge, but they make a 12-egg omelet, and our favorite was the Western, okay? It's got sour cream and tomatoes and bacon, and it's served on a huge bed of things I can't think of because my brain hates me. Hash browns, that's the word. Okay, I'm pregnant. Sounds good. Stomach says, no, it's not. We get about a block and a half away from there, and I am still freshly pregnant. Don't look pregnant, feel pregnant, body rejects things. So I am barfing outside of the car, and this young lady has to be between 16 and 20. She comes pulling up, looking at me like, because I am literally holding onto the side of the car, just heaving up my breakfast. And I remember looking at her going, use birth control. I'm sorry to whoever you are. If you ever see this, I'm sorry. It was a bad morning, okay? When you're in that position, when you are barfing up eggs and bacon is scratching your throat, you hate everybody. But using birth control is probably a very good message. Being pregnant never bothered me. There were parts about it where I was probably really, really moody, and I did terrible things to other people, like not allowing them to ever eat meat in the house because the smell of it, the sound of it, didn't do it. Not allowed. I would be hot and cold at the same time, so it's snowing outside. I have blankets on, but the window had to be open. Those were all probably terrible things to the people I lived with. But at the moment, I was hormonal and I didn't care. So then we get to the part where it's my last trimester. I'm still in school, but I had my stuff planned. I was planning with my teachers to be able to like take my finals. We had 3 weeks of finals on most of them, where I got all my finals planned for the very, very, very first week, so that just in case, my very last final on the very last week, I took it. I just get done saying what I had to say, and I sat down, and I thought I peed my pants. And I'm sitting there in the chair because the kid is talking, and I didn't want to interrupt him. I didn't want to mess up his final. So I'm just sitting here going, and I'm kind of looking at the floor, and I'm looking at the floor. I'm like, oh God, I peed my pants. I can't be peeing my pants at school. And I'm looking at my hand, and I'm, oh. So I get up as soon as he's done talking, and I run out of the room. I didn't even look in the chair to see if there was a puddle on the floor, and I just ran. And everybody in class is like, yay, she's having a baby. My concern is, I just peed in class. I had no idea they were all in class excited. Like, they paused the finals. They had to wait to find out. They sent the girl. There was, like, one other girl that had kids. So they sent her to the bathroom. I'm in the bathroom. I just peed my pants. So we call my midwife. We go down there, and she's like, it's just the outer bag that broke. You're fine. You're just a paranoid new mother. I am not a new mom. I mean, I am a new mom, but that had nothing to do with being paranoid. Me and this midwife did not get along. She was not the one I picked. I did not want her. I wind up being in labor from like that point on, like from the next day, like bad labor contractions. She's like, those are just Braxton Hicks. And I'm like, I've been having Braxton Hicks. This and that, very different. Well, they're not close enough together for me to be concerned about. Okay, well, are they Braxton Hicks, or am I having labor contractions that are just not close enough? You need to make up your mind. I have a book where I literally was like biting on the book. My mommy was there, and my sister was there, and my husband was there, and I'm so glad that I had them, because my roommate was the least of the helpful people in the world. We walked, and I probably seen more of my neighborhood in that week than I had ever seen the entire time that we lived there. And I wound up being dehydrated because I didn't want to eat, and I didn't want to walk, and I didn't want to do anything. Finally, I was far enough along, centimeter-wise, that they did finally, I gave up on the midwife because she was stupid, that they admitted me to the hospital, which was just down the hill from my house. And my dad took me. He put me in the car, and every bump, and I'm like, oh my God, if you hit one more bump, this baby's just going to jet out. He's like, isn't that kind of the point? Not in the car. I just remember him laughing. You would drive out of our, You would drive out of our house, around the corner, down 1/4 of a block, down a hill, 2 blocks, and there's the hospital. It's less than I could have walked there in 5 minutes in my pregnant state. 5 minutes. It took 1.5 minutes to drive there. And I'm like, this baby's going to jet out in the car. And he's like, I don't think that's a thing. It is. I swear it is. I feel it's coming out like that. It's like, don't do that. And they're like, you're only 4 centimeters. No. But I was convinced that was what was going to happen. I hated the nurse I had at first, the first time we went in, and they told me I was just dehydrated and I needed to drink some more water. The second time I meet her, she's the best thing I could have had. She was brutally honest. She did not lie. There was no hiding anything, and she told me everything. And I loved her for it. Like, things nobody else would have told you, she told me, and I loved it. I couldn't have done it without her. There were some really funny things that I remember, and then there's big chunks of it that other people have to tell me. I remember my dad, and this is one of the first births he'd ever been to. I remember him watching the monitors and going, "Ooh, this is going to be a big one." And I'm like, if I could get closer, I might kick you. I remember dancing with my sister. They promised me if I took the Pitocin that I could get in the tub. So I took the Pitocin, and they're like, "Oh, you took Pitocin, you can't get in the tub." Excuse me? Then take it out. Doesn't work that way. They broke my water, and so they were changing my bedding, and they put me in this rocking chair, and I wanted out of the rocking chair because it hurt, and I didn't like it, and I kept trying to tell them, it feels like she's gonna break my hip, she's coming out of my hip, and they're like, "Oh, that's not a thing, honey, they can't break your hip." Honey, I don't care if it's a thing. I don't care if you think it's gonna happen. I'm telling you, she's coming out of my hip. And I'm almost positive the left hip is going to come off. And she's gonna come out of my butt. And the nurse just looked at me like I've now lost my mind altogether. And maybe I need to go to the 7th floor. Well, come to find out, Marilyn was not pointed straight down. She was actually pointed like she was going to come out of my hip. And maybe Mom wasn't totally insane. I mean, I have my moments, don't get me wrong. I'm a crazy person. But this time, I was actually not crazy. While I was in the rocking chair, my mom kept telling me, "Breathe, honey, breathe. Just breathe through the contraction." And my hand had slid off of the arm of the rocking chair, got a hold of my mother's leg, and I looked at her, "You breathe." And she's like, "And here comes the pea soup." Everyone in the room laughed, except for, of course, me, who was right in the middle of a contraction and didn't think it was funny. I think it's funny now. I did not then. Also, my mom had a handprint bruise on her leg. Did not feel sorry for her then. I do now. Sorry, Mommy. I kicked my husband out of the room when he came in with food that smelled horrendous. I would eat what he is eating now. I would not eat it then. Finally, he tells me, he's like, if you just wait a little longer, it'll be Tim's birthday. And I think at that point we had like 3 hours. I'm like, I ain't waiting 3 hours. Somebody better get this kid out of me now. My daughter was born 9 minutes after my brother-in-law's birthday. And the fact that she gets to share his birthday is one of the sweetest things. And she absolutely adores her Uncle Tim. She loves getting to stay with him, and she thinks it's really cool that she gets to share his birthday. The sweetest moment when my husband is holding his baby for the first time, and the first time we heard her cry. And then when my dad came back, because my dad took my nephew home, because it's now 3 in the morning. She was born at like 3:15 in the morning. He took my nephew home, and they scrambled to get back and just barely miss it. They get back, and my dad talked for the first time in the room after my daughter was born. And my daughter whips her head over to look at him. And the nurse is like, "Oh, no, they're not supposed to do that." And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, well, she did." I don't give a crap. Every nurse on that floor came to look at my baby. She's like, "We heard you have the cutest baby on the floor." And then they would get mad at me because my kid wouldn't stay covered up. My kid hated being swaddled. She has always had a mind of her own. She has always been very willful. if you haven't noticed from our other videos. She is quite the ham, but she's a little sweetheart, and I wouldn't change being a mother for anything, even when she's being Marilyn. I had to laugh when my husband and I had been together at this point maybe 6 months. He told me he wanted to name our daughter, after telling me he's never having daughters, he wanted to name his daughter Marilyn, after Marilyn Manson. And I was like, okay. And he wanted to name our other kids after rock stars and then a family middle name. And I was like, as long as it's not something strange, it's like strange first name, I can go with that. And all the other names that he had picked were fine. We were never capable of having other children. But we were so lucky to have such a wonderful daughter, and she's so sweet, and she can be so loving and so kind, and I'm so blessed to be her mom, and I love you, Marilyn. But I think that comes from having such a wonderful mom and a wonderful example. And my mom is so loving and so caring, and when I'm having a bad day, I can call my mommy, and my mom is my best friend, and I get to talk to my mom all the time. And I just wish, I just wish that I lived a little closer to my mom, because I miss her dearly. And to not get to see my family as often as I would like, because they live far away from me, and to not have my mom the way that I used to when my daughter was young is heartbreaking, because to me, family is everything. And it's hard to not have our families closer to us, and to have our families in the state that they're in. The fact that our family does not want to be a family, to me, is heartbreaking, and I think it's horrible. But I love my mom, and to have such a wonderful example to show me what it is to be a mom, and I think is the best thing that I could have had. And I love you, Mom. And I just hope that I can be the kind of mom that my daughter needs, and that I hope she grows up to be even half the mom that I wish that I am, and that I hope that I am for her, and that I can be the kind of mom that my mom is for me, for my daughter. So happy Mother's Day to all you moms out there, and I hope you guys have a great Mother's Day. So kisses to everybody, and I love you, and have a great Mother's Day. Bye, guys.